Hi. Okay, so I did chapter 5 this time. So it's about a nonprofit organization that needed to do a series of focus groups to test taglines. Um, they got a new VP, and the VP wanted to be a part of the group and took steps to predetermine the outcome. Jessica, the lady that the story's about, she worked at the organization and found her job exciting. And then the company needed more media coverage, so that's why they were doing the focus groups to figure out the taglines. And then Jessica said that people quit to go to their competition because the company wasn't doing very well. And this is Shelby's third boss. So the new VP, Gilbert, was her third boss. So the first meeting focused on the rebranding campaign, and the meeting was going great until Gilbert, the new VP, said she had an idea, and then everyone in the group felt pressured to say yes to her idea. So Shelby supported it publicly and thought it didn't fit, but she went with it anyways. And then another group didn't choose Gilbert's tagline, and Gilbert really didn't like that. So Gilbert took it into her own hands and told the other group leaders to make sure that they chose her phrase. So Jessica, in the end, felt manipulated and lost her interest in work. So she got a new job somewhere else, and a coworker later, I think it said 3 months later or something, she got a call from her and said that the VP was no longer there. And then Shelby regretted never telling anyone what happened. Okay, so for question 1, it says, if you'd been in Shelby's place and decided to speak up, who would you have gone to first, Gilbert or Gilbert's boss? I've always been told to not jump the chain of command. So I would have gone to Gilbert first, and if Gilbert wasn't listening or just kind of waved it off, I would go to Gilbert's boss, and so on. Because Gilbert's boss, I've heard, if you go to the boss's boss, they're always like, have you gone to your boss yet? So I would do that. Do you think Shelby had enough evidence to tell her boss? Yes, I do. I think she had enough evidence. Either way, I would trust your gut on that, and just tell the boss how you feel. What do you think would happen if Shelby had done that? I hope that Gilbert would have stepped back from the rebranding process, maybe taken herself out of the situation. I would hope that would be the case. Can you think of other options she might have tried other than losing interest? Losing interest. I agree. I would have done the same thing Shelby would have done, honestly, because when I see stuff like that and I don't feel like I have a voice, I shut down. So it would have been hard for me to have interest in what I was doing, for sure. So for question 2, it asked me to look up the code of ethics, and it asks if anything is surprising. I don't think anything's surprising. I think all of it hits the right point, but something that kind of relates back to Gilbert is not to misrepresent their credentials in order to secure and maintain membership. I feel like that kind of goes back to Gilbert. Like, she used her power and her position to mislead other people. So not misrepresenting yourself, I think, is a great point to make. For number 3, I think rebranding is very important for companies to do, because I think values change and focuses change and thoughts change. but from like their customers. So I think it's important to make sure everything you're doing is catered to your customer. So if your customer age group changes, or if your audience's age group changes, I think you need to rebrand. Sometimes slogans and things go out of date. I think technology is changing so much that you sometimes need to make those little tweaks to make it better. For number 4, I'm going to ask if social media is a good way to do a focus group using Facebook or Twitter. I think that would be okay, since social media is so popular now. A lot of people use a form of social media to get anything across nowadays. Facebook or Twitter, I don't know if I'd use Facebook or Twitter. I guess you could use Facebook to put out a survey, or to use it that way. So I guess it would work. In what ways do you think this method would be more or less effective than the in-person? I personally would want it in person. I think you see people's body language better. I think you can understand people better than being online. I think online you don't get the same interaction and body language, like I said, you would for in-person. What use of social media makes it easier to manipulate research? Would use of social media be easier to manipulate research? I feel like anything you can manipulate research, but I think if the data is on like a website or something, I think that's easier to manipulate than talking out in person and writing it down or using that form. I think it would be easier to manipulate on a social media platform. How I would use this example in my life, I think I would stand up for myself if this ever happened to me. I don't really back down very easily. I'm usually pretty, like, if something's wrong, I'm going to tell you in the correct way, but I'm going to tell you if I don't think something's right. So if I saw my boss doing that and abusing her power or his power, I would feel comfortable to go up and talk to them privately in the right way. But I think it's definitely a lesson learned just reading it, that like there's things that do happen in your workplace, but you just have to understand your place in the company, as well as knowing when you can have a voice and when you can't. So I know it's hard for Shelby to do that, but I all in all would have said something for sure.